February 28th, 2026, an Iranian ballistic missile slammed into the U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain, the same Navy that boasts the world's most advanced air defense systems. Watched a missile penetrate every layer of protection and strike American soil. How? That's what we're answering today. Not with speculation, but with the actual tactical plans the U.S. Navy uses to defend 500 nautical miles of the most contested water on Earth. The Persian Gulf isn't just a deployment zone. It's a chessboard where 13 warships face hundreds of Iranian missiles. Drone attack craft, all crammed into a funnel 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. And 3 days ago, that system was tested like never before. The U.S. Navy has been in Bahrain since 1948. 78 years of sustained, but January 2026 changed everything. 2 carrier strike groups deployed simultaneously, the largest American military buildup in the Middle East since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. Not one carrier. 2. USS Theodore Roosevelt and USS Abraham Lincoln, each commanding a battle group of guidedizers, destroyers, attack submarines, and over 90 combat aircraft. 13 warships total, positioned across the Persian Gulf, Arabian Sea, and Red Sea approaches. This wasn't routine rotation. President Trump coordinated directly with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu 2 weeks before February 28th. Their stated 4 targets: eliminate Iran's nuclear programs, destroy missile production facilities, annihilate naval capabilities, and neutralize proxy forces threatening the region. But here's what makes the Persian Gulf uniquely dangerous: geography. The Strait of Hormuz is 21 knot. Imagine trying to funnel the entire U.S. Navy's operational power through a corridor narrower than the distance between Manhattan and Newark. Iran controls the northern coastline. Fast attack craft can reach the shipping lane in under 8 minutes. Anti-ship missiles deployed on mobile launchers have direct line of sight to every vessel. Trans's solution? Turn every ship into a traffic cop. On February 3rd, 2026, 3 weeks before the escalation, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy forces attempted to intercept the M/V Stena Imperative, a U.S. Dash-flagged tanker carrying liquefied natural gas. USS McCall, a guided missile cruiser, moved into position within 12 minutes. The Iranian craft turned away. The tanker transited safely into the Arabian Sea. That intervention happened because USS McFall wasn't randomly patrolling. It was positioned at the strait's southern exit point, bottleneck where every hostile move becomes predictable. Control the choke point, control the Gulf. But controlling a choke point and defending it from saturation missile attacks are 2 completely different problems. And that brings us to February 28th. Picture concentric circles radiating outward from a carrier strike group. The outermost ring sits 500 nautical miles away. E-2D Hawkeye aircraft orbiting in continuous loops, their radar systems scanning for incoming threats before they appear on any ship-based system. These aren't fighters. They're airborne early warning platforms, and they see everything. Iranian F-4 Phantoms taking off from Bandar Abbas, ballistic missiles launching from mobile platforms, drone swarms assembling over the Gulf of Oman. When the Hawkeye detects a threat, it transmits targeting data to the middle ring. Aegis-equipped cruisers and destroyers positioned 100 nautical miles out. Aegis Combat System isn't a weapon. It's a brain. It tracks hundreds of targets simultaneously, calculates interception windows, and fires standard missiles capable of hitting aircraft or missiles 100 miles away at Mach 3.5. If something penetrates that second ring, Femost Defense activates. The carriers close in weapon systems. Gatling guns firing 4,500 rounds per minute at anything within 2 miles. Last-ditch, close-range interception. 3 rings, overlapping coverage, redundancy built layer. But here's the operational constraint nobody talks about. Water depth. Carrier strike groups need deep water. A Nimitz-class carrier draws 37 feet and weighs 100,000 tons. The Persian Gulf averages 160 feet deep, with vast, shallow zones, unsuitable for capital ships. So carriers operate in the Arabian Sea and of Oman, deep water where they can maneuver freely and launch sustained air operations. The confined Gulf itself, that's where Littoral Combat Ships take over. LCS vessels draw just 17 feet. They can operate in waters where a destroyer would run aground. Think of it like highway patrol versus motorcycle officers. Cruisers dominate the interstate, but when you need to navigate narrow city streets, you send the bikes. LCS platforms handle anti-mine warfare, coastal security, and submarine in the shallow Gulf zones, where larger ships can't go. This geographic specialization creates a defensive grid. Capital ships managing the outer perimeter, specialized platforms filling the gaps, airborne assets extending the detection envelope beyond the horizon. It's elegant. It's redundant. And February 28th, Iran tested every single layer simultaneously. Before the first missile launched, a different battle was already underway. One you couldn't see. Electronic warfare. EA-18G Growler over the Gulf weren't carrying bombs. They carried jamming pods. Systems designed to saturate Iranian radar frequencies with noise, creating blind spots where U.S. aircraft became invisible. Simultaneously, those same platforms intercepted Iranian communications, mapping command and identifying launch sites in real time. This is the invisible hand behind every successful strike. When U.S. and Israeli aircraft crossed into Iranian airspace on February 28th, Iranian air defense systems saw nothing. Not because the aircraft were stealthy. F-15E Strike Eagles aren't designed for stealth, but because their radar systems were being actively jammed, fed false returns, and overwhelmed with electromagnetic interference. Dr. Michael Knights from the Washington Institute for Near East Policy described it perfectly. The U.S. Navy's layered defense approach, combining carrier strike groups, Aegis destroyers, and allied assets, creates overlapping coverage that makes asymmetric Iranian attacks increasingly difficult to execute successfully. Difficult, not impossible. The February 28th strike achieved its 4 objectives. Medium-range ballistic missile launchers destroyed. Naval bases at Bandar Abbas struck. Air defense installations degraded. Iranian 4 Phantom fighters caught on the ground. Then Iran retaliated. Drone swarms launched from multiple sites. Ballistic missiles fired in coordinated salvos. Fast attack craft surging toward U.S. positions in the strait. This wasn't a desperate last strike. It was a planned, multi-saturation attack designed to overwhelm air defense systems by forcing them to engage too many threats simultaneously. And here's what nobody expected. It partially worked. U.S. air defense intercepted multiple projectiles over Qatar. RAF Eurofighter Typhoons engaged Iranian aircraft over Jordanian airspace. Patriot batteries, Kuwait shot down incoming drones. The layered system performed exactly as designed across most of the Gulf, but one missile got through. 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain struck directly. Video confirmed the impact. The Bahraini government acknowledged the hit. Casualties unknown. Operational continuity maintained, but the facility was hit. An anonymous service member stationed at the base described the moment. We realized immediately that tactical doctrine was being tested in real time. You understand vulnerability despite in place. This raises the question everyone's been asking. If U.S. defenses are so advanced, how did this happen? The answer is saturation. Imagine you're defending a goal in soccer. You're the goalkeeper in the world. You can stop 95% of shots. But if the opposing team fires 10 shots simultaneously from 10 different angles, simple math says you can't block them all. That's saturation warfare. Iran launched coordinated attacks from multiple geographic positions within a compressed drones from Western launch sites, ballistic missiles from central Iran, cruise missiles from coastal batteries. Each threat required different interception methods. Drones, shot down by fighter aircraft or short-range missiles. Ballistic missiles, engaged by standard missiles during their terminal phase. Cruise missiles, intercept-based systems. But you can't fire infinite interceptors. Each Aegis cruiser carries roughly 90 missiles total across all mission types. Each standard missile costs $4 million. When you're engaging 50-plus incoming threats across a 500-mile operational area, you make calculated eyes. The missile that struck Bahrain, It wasn't a failure of detection. It was a failure of capacity. Too many threats, too few interceptors in the right position at the right time. Dr. Nasan Rafati from the International Crisis Group noted that Iran's response demonstrates it possesses first strike capability than many Western analysts expected. The coordinated drone and missile assault shows tactical sophistication beyond Mosquito Fleet characterizations. Iran adapted, and so did the US. During the February 28th operations, American forces deployed something new: low-cost, uncrewed combat attack systems, re-engineered from captured Iranian Shahed drones. Think about that. The US military reverse-engineered enemy drones, mass-produced them, and launched them back during coordinated strikes. This is the technological match playing out in real time. Iran develops cheap, mass-producible drones. The US captures them, improves them, and deploys them at scale. Iran coordinates multi-vector attacks. The US adapts defensive positioning and builds more layered redundancy. It's not about invincibility, it's about resilience. The ability to absorb hits, maintain operational continuity, and adapt faster than the adversary. Which brings us to the hardest question. What happens next? 2 carrier strike groups remain on station. Littoral Combat Ships continue patrols through the Hormuz. E-2D Hawkeyes orbit in 24-hour cycles. The February 28th escalation didn't end operations. It reset them. Short-term, expect sustained presence through at least mid-2026. Basing infrastructure in Jordan, Qatar, and UAE will expand. The Air Force repositioned F-15E Strike Eagles to Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan, specifically to provide geographic dispersion. If one base gets hit, others remain operational. 5th Fleet Headquarters in Bahrain is undergoing damage assessment. Casualties remain unconfirmed, but the facility continues functioning. That's the operational reality of redundant systems. Even when one node fails, the network survives. Medium-term trajectory is harder to predict. The Council on Foreign Relations Analysis notes that the Trump administration faces a choice: climb down from regime change objectives or commit to a long, punishing, and possibly unsuccessful campaign. Ground invasion planning has reportedly drawn military warnings about very high casualties and likely risk of failure. Meanwhile, Iran is reconstitute ballistic missile production facilities, struck on February 28th, are being rebuilt. Naval assets damaged at Bandar Abbas are being replaced. The technological competition isn't ending, it's accelerating. Long-term Persian Gulf operations will likely undergo fundamental transformation. By 2030, expect increased reliance on autonomous systems, AI-enabled threat detection, and directed energy weapons. The Navy is systems designed to shoot down drones at a cost of dollars per shot versus $4 million per standard missile. But here's what won't change: geography. The Strait of Hormuz remains 21 nautical miles wide. Iran still controls the northern coastline, and 20% of the world's petroleum still transits that choke point every single day, which the US Navy isn't leaving. The tactical plans we've explored today, layered air defense, geographic positioning, electronic warfare dominance, and resilient redundancy, aren't theoretical. They're operational doctrine, tested under fire 3 days ago. Some systems performed flawlessly, others revealed limits. And that's exactly how military evolution works. Not through invincibility, but through adaptation. The Persian Gulf operation proves a hard truth. No defense is impenetrable, but well-designed systems survive their failures. If you want to understand how these complex defense networks will evolve as AI, directed energy weapons, and autonomous platforms reshape naval warfare over the next decade, that's our next deep dive. Subscribe to the Daily Navy so you don't miss it. Because the technological race playing out in the Gulf today is defining the future of military power worldwide.